my name is Dan Hirsch. I'm one of the founders of DataOwl. I'm going to share with you our learnings about the changing cannabis consumer behaviors in response to COVID-19. Like everybody, we've seen that surge at the beginning of the month. We're most interested in what's happening at the end of the month. But to start with, let me just show you a chart here about the state of New York. The red line represents average transactions on a daily basis using January and February of 2020 as the norm. We're comparing it on the gray line to increases or decreases in total sales activities in New York on comparable days. As you can see, that surge is really obvious, with transactions peaking at 102% comparable days in January and February on March 16th when they closed the bars and restaurants. But what's of most interest to me is really looking over at the far right of the chart, where you see less dramatic increases and decreases in sales activities, and in fact some normalization around the levels it appears that they were seeing pre-COVID-19. We see a similar pattern here in Illinois, Arizona, and California. However, in Massachusetts, that trend is broken. It's broken because on March 24th, Massachusetts closed its recreational dispensaries. So while it's stabilized in this last week, it stabilized at a level about 40% lower than what they were seeing in January and February. Much like the experience in Nevada, which relies, as we know, heavily on tourism, and closing its casinos led to a precipitous drop-off. And what you've seen is a stabilization somewhere around 80% lower than their sales in January and February before tourism stopped. To confirm this, I want to make it easier to see this, and indeed it's true. Illinois, California, Florida, and Arizona, and New York have all seen relatively limited declines relative to their historic norms. But hey, patterns have changed. Customers are shopping differently. One of the big things we've seen is customers are no longer concentrating their shopping so much around Friday and Saturday. The red area that I've highlighted are the areas with the big declines relative to this historic norms in this last week. And you can see it's very much that Friday, Saturday peak period. The blue shows where there's been increases, and you can see other days of the week are showing increases in sales activity. So here you're looking at that same information in a little bit different way. The blue is January, February averages. The red is this last week. What you see is a very steep increase in sales around Friday and Saturday, ramping up, whereas this last week really showed pretty even sales day over day. Little increase, of course, around Friday and Saturday, but not that dramatic bump. We excluded Nevada and Massachusetts to make sure it was true and still saw a similar pattern. While there was an increase around Friday and Saturday, wasn't nearly as dramatic as you saw prior. In addition, of note, Tuesday actually showed higher sales, and many of the days are pretty much equivalent, reinforcing that behavior. The other change we've seen, though, is how frequent people are shopping and how much they're spending each time. The middle of where you see this big drop off in the blue line shows where those government actions really started keeping people home. And so you've seen people shopping far less often. However, they also shopping, when they do shop, they're spending more. And so you can see in that red line about a 35% increase in average ticket value. And you can see that transaction volumes have dropped as well, something like 30 to 40% in this last week. So it reinforces what we've said. What does it all mean? In the end, it means you need to really change how you're running your dispensary. Of course, you need to have a great e-commerce experience, since consumers aren't going to be coming into your shop to make purchase selections. You need to make sure you're driving your customers directly to your site. Reliance on those third-party intermediary sites is going to lead to customers being usurped by your competitors, because now you're really side-by-side compared. In addition, you want to make sure you're aligning your loyalty strategy to reward these new behaviors, and you want to personalize your communications to each of your customers around the products they really shop for most. We're going to go ahead and continue monitoring these trends and provide you updates in the near future. We look forward to hearing from you here at DataOwl. At DataOwl, we have all the tools you need to handle these uncharted waters, from e-commerce to targeted text messaging. Give us a call and find out about how we can get you guys set up with a new e-commerce site in 72 hours.